This is Vina Tarkena Ya Siddhi Yadricha Siddhirevasha. This is the concluding statement of Charak in Siddhistan, second 28th sloka. Concluding statement means this is the total summary of the clinical practices, how to do the clinical practices. This is actually total sloka is Tasmat. सत्यपि निर्देशे कुर्यात् उह्यं स्वयं धिया बिना तर्केण या सिद्धि यदृच्छा सिद्धिरेवच. Basically, there are two types of the clinical practices are running this time, and since 5,000 years we have two clear-cut two types of the clinical practices. One is Ashansha Siddhi and second one is Yadrisha Siddhi. What is that? Tasmat Satyapi Nirdeshe Kurya Uhyam Swayam Dhiya. This is a concluding statement, a direction to ignore the previous directives, looking to the situation and using the logical intelligence. Tarkyam iti artam api uholiyam. The format of Shastra is Lesho, Anuk and Up. Told but need better understand, application, revision and popularization. And Anuk, untold, need to the inclusion of contemporary knowledge within the framework of our concepts. And Lesho, indicated briefly, need detailing with the key sense of Samhita intact. Basically, what is the problem of these days? How to learn Ayurveda. To learn Ayurveda is better way to live Ayurveda or earn to learn Ayurveda. Because our students of today are being taught by the teachers of yesterday with the curriculum of day before yesterday. This is a simple quote by Nobel winner Dr. C.V. Raman, our pride of India. Actually, we are teaching the 5,000 years back, the science wrote by 5,000 years back. And now in this time, and definitely teachers are senior to our youngest students. And one more quote is important here. Who is illiterate of this 21st century? The illiterate of 21st century, this Albert Toffler is a blogger, actually American blogger. But he is rightly said, the illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn and relearn. This is the time for Ayurveda to all youngsters to what they are learned, they should unlearn first. And then they should relearn Ayurveda with living Ayurveda. Actually, learning, first thing of the learning is believing. Believing is knowing. When you don't believe in your Shastra, you cannot know the Shastra. First thing is Shraddha, believe. That may be blind even. But we have to faith in our Shastra, we have value our Shastra, then we can become the valuable. Otherwise, if Shastra is valueless, then we are automatically become valueless. So Shastra is the first thing, is Shastra to believe Shastra. Ayurveda is an absolute truth. Not science, not life science, not anything else. But it is absolute truth, divine truth. It is Anadi, Shashvat, Swabhava, Siddha, Vaidya. Directly came from the Brahma. Directly came as an absolute truth to this planet. With the mediator like Bhardwaja and then Punarvashuati, then Agnivesh, then Charak, then our gurus, then their gurus and then their gurus and then their gurus. We are just following this tradition of the Brahma, tradition of Atri. Today, with the same faith and same concept we are living actually. Ayurveda is a divine science documented and developed between 10,000 years in this continent with different epistemology. Which came first, science or nature? Surely the science is a relatively new way to tell a story. And nature has been all around since the beginning of the time. Whenever we come up against nature, it is always nature that wins. In the natural world, the flow of elements is a unique characteristic. Flow of elements like Som Surya Nilastatha, Vata Pitta Kapastreya, Dharyan Jagaddeham, Visargadana Vikshipa, you know very well. Basically, we have taken this science from the nature. We are supposing that the person is a miniature of this cosmos. So, every concept, every understanding, every philosophy we have taken from the nature. In the natural world, the flow of elements is unique characteristic, like Surya for Adan, Moon for Visharg and Vayu for Vikshep. And rule and order have always come from nature first and human beings are second. All aspects of the nature hold true to this common thread, and often it has been said Mother Nature always knows the best. Our body functions just like these forces of the nature. Vata, Pitta, Kapha are just forces of Som, Surya and Anna. This is the simple theory of Ayurveda. Again, the modern medical system developed just 400 years ago in different continents, evolved with the same concept in the beginning, but later on hijacked by reductionists or rational scientists. The rational mind, the home of science, is famous for objectifying the things and dehumanizing the things. This way, we came away from our nature. Unfortunately, much of the scientific community has come to completely disregard of many of these rather simple laws of the nature to gain knowledge in order to conquer the nature. This is the theory of the science actually. Now we are coming to the original topic for today. Takyam iti anuttam api uvaniyam. Since many thousand years, the patient are came to us in a renewed way. Now we are practicing with the today's patient. And Charak or Atre has been discussing about their patients. So many of the things, many of the diseases, many of the nidana may not be there at that time actually. So what is not there, what was not there, that should also be discussed in the framework of the Shastra. This is Anukta, but this is to be Uhaniyam. What is the way of this Anukta Uhaniyam? I will tell you further. Then second thing is Shastropadeshe Satyapi Swabuddhyeva Shastranugatya Anuktam Api Kartavyam. Even we have the 12,000 sloka or text prose in Charak, but how can we imagine that 12,000 are sufficient for the all future diseases, past diseases, and coming diseases in again future and future? So it is not possible. They have simplified some groups and clubbed some diseases, and clubbed some concepts that are really useful for knowing the future diseases. So Swabuddhi, self-logical reasoning and self-intelligence, we can know the anukta or untold. Yaduktam pracharanam vikshukasya bijam eva karsakasya sutram. There are two ways of the farming. One is yadricha. Some saints were passing through the farmland and their bags were torn or some grains were scattered there, and by the season they have grown. This is the Bhikshukasya Bijam, Pracharanam eva Bhikshukasya Bijam. And second thing is Karsakasya Sutram. A farmer is planning for cultivation of the farmland and for good crop in all sense. So the planning of farmer is required for the treatment, this is like treatment planning. Buddhimatam or alpagyanam bhavati. Buddhiman or intelligent one will definitely plan the practices, and alpagya will yadrichavadi. Something will be done. This is already yadricha. What is yadricha actually? Accidental success. Something will happen. Yasya tarur moolam yena kena peshitam yasmai tasmai pradatavyam yadva tadva bhavishyati. This is idiopathic. This is accidental. This is chaotic pattern of the treatment that has no relevance with the intelligence or logic or reasoning. So this is Yadricha Siddhi, and this is disregarded everywhere in the Charak Samhita. Siddhi Yuktau Pratisthita. Ashansha Siddhi, or undoubtedly knowledge of the clinical practices for reproducible results are based on the logical intelligence. And logical intelligence or yukti is the superior most gift from our Shastra, and Shastra has been given the four system of the examination or system of the treatment protocols. The P. Ram Manohar have rightly said, Siddhir Yuktau Pratishtita. Success is surely established by the logical reasoning or logical intelligence. Text gives us the general guidelines, and patient need personalized treatment. So guidelines are not to be followed blindly. Tasmat satyapi nirdesi. Even the guidelines are there, but our patient need a individualized treatment, a personalized treatment. No person in this world is identical to another one. So every person, every patient needs a personalized or individualized treatment. For the individualized treatment, we have to thoroughly examine for Desam, Dusham, Balam, Kalam, Prakritim, Analam, Vaya, Sattvam, Satvam, Tathara, Pratishtha, Pratakvita. Sukshma Shukma Samikshesam, Doshosha Nirupani. Before we are proceeding for the treatment, we have to examine our patient, who is the Atur Des, who is the seat of the treatment, who is seeking our treatment. That have to be examined, all these 10 factors related with the person. So, in this way, these particular 10 factors are creating dissimilarity with another patient. Karma drishti abhyasa siddhi rastraya. Visionary clinical experience brings the excellence. What is the protocol for this visionary clinical experience? First thing is Vaidya, knowledge by aptopas. Tatra jnana vadam hi dvividha pariksha. If you are going to examine a patient, then first eligibility is he has to fulfill the knowledge and aptopadesh, and he has total capability to understand each and every aptopadesh. So Vidya is the first thing. Vitarka, intelligent logical reasoning. Every stage, I will tell you further, that every stage there is a need of reasoning, logics and personal intelligence to know the patient in detail. Third thing is Vigyan. Every patient is to be treated with different recent technological advancement. Smritis Tatparta, instantaneous memory. If you have the knowledge, if the aptopadesh, but unable to recall the memory at when the patient is coming, this is useless. So instantaneous memory is further requirement, and Kriya, this is all required for the good clinical practices or GCP. This is Paradi Guna Yukti. Parad means excellence. Every clinical or physical, mental, spiritual or dosic or organic or any pathological repairment need an excellence. Tebhyo visad buddhiman parisankhyatam api yat dravyam. If the drug is identified, but in what formulation, in what dose, in what time, with what sanskara, and what is to be withdrawn from this yogi, this compound, and what is to be added in this compound, it is the knowledge of the physician only, who is already know the patient, who is having the different this kal, bal, prakriti, anal, satya, sattvi, etc. Yet anuktam yogikam manye, if the drug is not said, not well defined, well mentioned, then how to use the undefined drug, strange drugs. This is also having some taste, some guna, some virya vipak. We can know the every unidentified drug with the rasa guna virya vipak prabhavi. वर्गम अपि वर्गेण उपसंसजेत अनेकेन एकेन वा युक्ति प्रमाणीकृत्य. अनेक युक्ति और एक युक्ति, रस गुण वीर्य विपाक प्रभाव, all the yuktis together, or simply ras can be clarified, the guna वीर्य विपाक प्रभाव also. प्रचरण में विष्णुकश्य बीज में already clarified. तस्मात् बुद्धिमता उहापोह वितर्क. If one is intelligent, he can use the logic. Otherwise, some who are incapable to logical reasoning, they can go with the yathoktam anugamanam eva sreya. What is said, what Shastra is conceived, what Shastra he has conceived, this is sufficient for the mandabuddhi, who are not efficient to perform the logical reasoning. Yathoktam hi margam anugatan visak sansadayati karyam anati mahattvadva vinipatayati atirisva dharanashyati. This is in Charak Vimanasthan 8. This is very beautiful slope, how to get the excellence in your treatment. And at every stage, when drug is identified or unidentified, then how to plan a treatment protocol, then what is the logical reasoning. If you are not able to perform the logic or reasoning, then you have to go for the Shastra. Otherwise, this is the best way of the treatment to get excellence. Now, यदृच्छेति वैद्य सम्यक ज्ञान पूर्वकम प्रवृत्तिम बिना कर्म वशादित्यर्थ. यदृच्छा इति सम्यक ज्ञान प्रवृत्ति बिना. If the physician is just know 4 chapters of the Charak Samhita, first 4 chapters. The Shastra says, Mandanam Vyavaharaya Buddhanam Buddhi Vardhaya. Only first 4 chapters where the dosha, nidan, rog marg, nothing is explained in these 4 chapters. But Yavagu Kalpana, Lep Kalpana and Panchasan Mahakashaya, they are explained very well. So this is sufficient for the Mandanam Vyavaharaya, who are able to Yadricha, this is sufficient. Otherwise, we have to go further. First we have to examine the disease, then drug, then औषध विज्ञान, and then देश काल प्रमाणज्ञ सिद्धिर असंशयम. These are the 4 stages. First we have to examine the disease. How to examine the disease? The tasmat vikar prakriti adhishthanaantaraणि च samutthana visheshacha buddhva karma samacharet. The constitution of the disease, the site, location and route of the disease, and trigger factors of the disease. विकार नामक नजरियात कदाचन, because the name is not important for treatment, but the constitution of the disease, location of the disease and triggers of the disease is sufficient for the treatment purpose. यो एतत् तृतीयं ज्ञात्वा कर्माणि आरभते विषक् ज्ञानपूर्वं यथा न्यायं स कर्मसु न मोह्यते. Every confusion is clear because the diseases are enormous. They are uncountable. Because ta eva aparisankhya vidyamana bhavanti ruja varna samutthana sthana namabe. But we have to know the three aspects of every disease. This is vikar prakriti, adhishthanaantar and samutthana. This is sufficient for the knowing the disease. Tato anandara aushadam. Basically, all sciences are developed with the folk knowledge and Ayurveda also. Ausadhir naam rupabhyam janati yajapavane. Shepherds and cowboys, they are the real knowledge for the medicines, for the non-medicine. But they only have the folk name of the medicine. But we developed our rishis with dhyana chaksu or jnana chaksu. They developed the rasguna veer vipak and nomenclature of the disease. Na nyama jnana matrena rupa jnanena va punah aushadhinam param prapti kaschid veditum arhati. And type and the shape of the drug is not sufficient for the treatment actually. Yoga tattvavid rupagyas tasam tattvavid uchyate. This substance, the pharmacological action, the pharmacological efficacy and pharmacodynamics of every medicine, every rasa guna veer vipak prabhav. If we know about the drug, then this is the treatment aspect. This is the essential for the treatment. But then again, yogamashanto yo vidya desha kalopaditam, different compounds, different fractions, different formulations for purusam vikshe, for individual who are diagnosed with Desham Dushyam Balam Kala. Every individual needs a different formulation, different dosage, different time, different kind of the application and different kind of the compounds. Some compounds are to be excluded, some should be included. This is the Yoga Mashanto Yo Vidya Desha Kalopapadita. Purusam viksha sa geyo vishuttama. So tato ananta aushadam. Then matra kalasaya yukti siddhi yukto pratisthita tishtati upari yuktigyo dravya jnana vadamsa. The one who is knowing the drug only. This is not predicate to perform the clinical excellence. Matra, kala and asraya. All these are seated in the yukti, logical reasoning, and siddhi, ashanshay siddhi, yukta pratisthita, is also based on the युक्ति. तो तिष्ठति उपरि युक्तिज्ञो. So yuktigya, or who has all reasoning, all logical intelligence, he is the best in comparison to the knower of the drug. Whole treatment is based upon the logical reasoning and intelligent formulation for each and every individual. Sodhan, Saman, Langan, Brangan, Snehan, Rushan. What treatment is needed for this person? Aptarpan, Santarpan, Guru Aptarpan, Lagu Aptarpan, Guru Santarpan, Lagu Santarpan. What is needed? What is therapy? Is this patient is able to perform this therapy or disabled? Proper timing of the therapy, dose, mode and route of therapy, is this properly done? Bhakti Yoga, Heen Yoga and Mithya Yoga. Selection of the drug and formulation. This is, again, one more thing is needed. Desa Kala Pramanagya Tasya Siddhi Rasanshaya. Rasanshaya Siddhi, or finally, knowledge yet reproducible, logical, reasoning based treatment is Asanshaya Siddhi. That's why a physician needs the knowledge of the patient's Des, Kal, Bala Pramana. Atur Bala Pramana, Des Bala Pramana, साथ में सत्व, प्रकृति, वय, आहार शक्ति, व्यायाम शक्ति, all these factors are for the examination of the Aturva Pramana Jnana. Desastu Bhumir Aturasya, again Desh. Desh is for Atur Parigyan Hetu, Sya Dosh Parigyan Hetu. Because Kasmin Bhumi Desh Jata, when it is born, when it is brought up, and where it is diseased. This diseased. This is very important. Idam ahar jatam, idam vihar jatam, etavaccha balam, evam vidam sattvam, evam vidam satmam, evam vido dosha, bhaktiriyam, imivyadaya, hitvidam, ahitam vidam, prayo gradam. So every country, every location, every situation, every day is having a different geography, different ecology, different demography of the disease, and different satma of the person. So every person has to be examined according to the location or desh. Again, in Charak Sutra 25, some important statements are given by Charak. Vaidya Sabhu Nishranshayakana. If one is not capable to have the all Shastra or Aptopadesh in one person, so there is a need of sambhasa or symposium or meeting or discussion with the fellow physicians, and that is Nishranjay Karana. That will definitely remove the confusions in the diagnosis, treatment as well as drug. Yogo Vaidya Gunam. How can we formulate this medicine? How this medicine can be formulated? How can we apply? This is yoga, Vijnanam or Shadinam. The knowledge is best drug. Shastra Saita Tarkas Sadhanam. Tark away from the Shastra, yeah, Tark without the Shastra is not sadhana. Logic should be ever logic should be based on the Shastra. This is the best sadhan or best way of the treatment. Sampratipatti kala prayog jnana prayojananam avyavashayah kalanipatti hetunam. Drishta karmata, internship, and seva, tadvidyanam seva, or specialist, the sitting with the specialist. This is also Nishtana Shaikarana. Asamarthata Bhaikarana. Tadvidya Samasa Buddhi Vardhanana. Symposiums, seminars are required for the development of the intelligence. Acharya Shastra Adhigam Hetuna. Acharya is the needed for the conceive the Shastra. Shastra cannot be directly conceived by the student because Sustra says Shastram Guru Mukhodgirinam. This is Tranagrit Nyaya basically. Guru, like a cow, eats a lot of grass and gives some liter of milk. Then this milk is further formulated as ghee. So Acharya or Guru diligently, intelligently read many of the Shastra and give the essence of the Shastra to the students. As cow gives the milk after eating the quintals of grass. And this became ghee after manthan or charcha or sambhasa. This is the gist of the Shastra. Ayurvedo Amritana. Ayurveda is immortal. And Vigyan, science, so-called science, this is mortal. Daily we are seeing, in case of corona, they are not confirmed yet what is corona, how to treat, what protocol should be used. Some protocols are fixed. Initially, they are diluted. Again, this is not useful. HCQ was initially thought very useful. Then HCQ was found very damaging. Then some more remdesivir was excluded from the treatment. One time this was the drug of choice and become the very big business for the remdesivir. Look, this is Ayurveda Amrita, means Ayurveda is final nectar of the knowledge. Since thousands of the years, from the Veda to this time, this has become the nectar of the science, essence of the science. Sadvachanam Anushteyana. Every righteous word is to be followed faithfully. Asadgrahanam sarvahitana. Once a person has taken the wrong concept, they conceived very wrong, this is very damaging for the person. Shastra drishti pranishtanam yadai aditya mandalam. Shastram jyoti prakasartham darsanam buddhiratmana. Shastra is just a candlelight to enlighten a student, to direct to a student. This is text, this is disease, this is drug, this is the patient. Shastra is just jyoti. Darshan means knowledge. Shastra will not give you directly knowledge. Shastra means enlighten the text, enlighten the concept, enlighten the mind, and activate the student. But ultimately he has to use his own intelligence to see what is right and what is wrong and what is to be used and what is not to be used. तो समग्रम दुःखम आयतम विज्ञाने द्वयाश्रयम सुखम समग्र विज्ञाने विमले च प्रतिष्ठितम. Every science, every step, every philosophy is all targeted for getting the sukh or pleasure. Sukhartha sarvabhutanam mata sarva pravartaya. Every person, every science is targeted as aimed for sukhartha pravartaya. But some person who are drishti or blind, then what will do the sun even? Shastra is just candle, Shastra is deepak. But Aditya Mandal cannot remove the ignorance of the person who are blind to the Shastra. So Shastra is very important and Shastra Drishti is very important. So don't go the Shastra without any belief or without any faith. Otherwise Shastra is blank. Shastra will not give the jyoti. Paravar parikshadam tatra Shastra vidam balam sadamatrena tantrasya kevalasya ekadeshiga. Sabdamatrena tantrasya. Now this is the time of specialization and super specialization. The specialization and super specialization make the thinking narrow. And narrow thinking is never regarded in the Shastra for the clinical practice. Body is one. Everything is related with the internal antakaran and bahyakaran are very integrated part of the body. 24 tattva avyakt to Mahabhut and Mahabhut to Indriya, everything integrated whole. Ekdesic, one-sided knowledge is our knowledge, our parikshadam. And par means excellent, it is Shastra vidam balam. The whole text is to be known. If super specialization is not wrong, but a super specialized means he has the knowledge, basic knowledge of whole Shastra once or 100 times. But he has excellence, he is excellent in this particular group or this particular subject or this particular disease. So it is not bad. But ekadesic Sabd Matra is not a Shastra. Shastra is taken as a whole. Asat Paksha, Akshanitva, Arti, Damba, Parushya Sadhana, Bhavantanata Svetantre, Praya, Paraviktaka. We are not here to condemn any other Shastra or other agam. Here we have to present our satpaksha. Otherwise the person who are not knowing this satpaksha or truth of the science, they definitely explain the others false, others fraud. And this is not good. This is damba sadhana. Ayurveda a fundamental science based on the scientific wisdom. We know very well Ayurveda is Karya Karanavad theory, cause and mechanism theory. Ayurveda has Karya Karanavad. Every Karan will definitely transform into Karya. Karan here, Karan may be Nidan and Karya may be disease. Every Nidan सेति कर्तव्यता को रोगोत्पादक हेतु निदान. Every nidan will dutifully produce a disease. So every karana will surely transform into a disease or karya. So Ayurveda better explain the cause mechanism theory of all possible pathologies, even pathology at Sanchayavastha, pre-pathological condition, and pre-pathological condition to imminent death symptom. See the spectrum of Ayurveda. At one side, at beginning, Ayurveda can diagnose a disease at Sanchayavastha. Sanchayavastha means where the disease is just a seasonal fluctuation or mealtime fluctuation or age-wise fluctuation or mental emotions are causing the fluctuations. They even the minutest fluctuation they can measure. This is the beauty of Ayurvedic science. They can measure the Sanchaya Avastha of dosha, and even they can measure the loss of ayu, imminent cause. This is 15 days after he will die, or 6 months, or 3 months, or 1 month, or day 1. This is also Indriya 12 chapters for the imminent death symptoms. And initially they started with the Sanchaya Avastha of the disease. This is the cause and mechanism theory. This cause is simply here transformed in the Sanchaya of dosha, and then Prakop, then Sthan Sansray, then Prasar, then Sthan Sansray, Vyakti, Bhed, and then Upadrav, then Marma Vighat, and then Arishta Lakshana. So there is a broad spectrum of the pathology has been explained very well in Ayurveda at every stage, and every stage is measurable. And there are stages, nature, course, mode of progression, disease-free status. Even disease-free status is our aim. Karyam dhatu samyam, rogopasamanam, malmutradi veganam vishargam, sukhera prapti. This is the status of the disease-free status. Every time we are anxious to take the patient to disease